Disclaimer: we apologize for the audio difficulties you may encounter in this episode. Nevertheless, we hope you still enjoy our honest take on gasoline versus diesel and which option is right for you.
Hello, everyone. We are back with Cars Casually, and today we're going to talk about something that people don't talk about enough of, actually, which is gas versus diesel. We had this discussion because we were talking about sedans versus SUVs, and it became a gas versus diesel discussion, which is a different discussion. As a quick, okay, in general, in the Philippines, people think diesel is cheaper to run. The diesels are the default choices for a lot of people. That is true, or it used to be true. It's not necessarily the case anymore. Over the last 10 years, the focus on the funding of development for engine development has been with primarily gas. That's a function of the fact that most of the world does not want diesel fumes, rightly or wrongly. We're not making that statement. But the development has been on primarily gas engines or hybrids or so on. So we kind of saw that diesel has fallen by the wayside in terms of further development. There was more there was more to be had by developing gas than diesel. Having said that, we do know for a fact, based on talking with the engineers and not the marketing people, that there is still development being done in the diesels. So I guess there will always be something going forward. Now, my thoughts on why I generally I've had gas and diesel, obviously more gas than diesel. The reason I like gas is because I'm sorry, I haven't introduced everybody. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry. This is the Cars Casually gang. I've been doing too many webinars by myself. I'm so sorry. This is Francis, who you can see. This is Paolo, Nix, and Den, who you cannot. I'm Carl. I'm so sorry, guys.
It's
Hey
fine.
guys.
See,
Hey.
you're not on screen, so therefore you don't exist. Okay. Okay. Now going back to that, I've had gas, I've had diesel. I find that the gas just tends to be more calm for me. It's a bit more quiet. Having said that, my cars I do not run a lot of high mileage. So I might not be hitting the point at which diesel becomes more economical for me to run. Those are numbers that Nix will be giving us later. There is a point. There is a point where it will turn over. Anyway, so there. So I was really surprised, and we were talking about sedan versus SUV and gas versus diesel a week ago or so, that Francis was heavily supportive of the diesel side, and yet Francis is tuner boy, right? Who tunes the daylights out of everything with internal combustion, and yet he was espousing the advantages of diesel. So I'm going to throw it to Francis. Francis, why have you gone over to the dark side?
Yeah, no, it's not the dark side actually, but it's more of enlightenment. For years,
Oh
not
no,
really.
Enlightenment.
There's no comparison between gas and diesel. They both serve their purpose
that's true.
and also
That's
their
true.
engines, right? So, but in defense of diesels, they have long since been considered as the underdog. We all think
Okay,
of
it's
them as
fair.
the jeepneys, diba, with the black smoke and everything, no. But um, a lot of strides have been taken by the gas companies. We now have like the Euro 6 diesel, right? The ultra low sulfur diesels. And
Mm-hmm.
thankfully we have CRDI engines. Because of this, diesel engines have become more powerful and they burn more cleaner also.
Yeah,
Diba?
that is correct.
So which is why diesels have emerged as, in fact price wise, I mean, there's little difference between gas and diesel. But the main point about diesel is that the amount of torque that they generate. And then
Oh,
when
for
you look
sure.
at the facts, yeah, because diesels have a higher efficiency rate than gasoline, which allows them to generate more torque. Which is why if you see will Nix will show later the these charts between say manufacturers that offer gas and diesel engines. Diesel engines generate more torque,
Oh
not
yeah.
because of no, yeah, it's because of the composition of the gasoline itself. Like back in the day, did you know that diesel was considered a useless byproduct
Yeah.
in the
Mm,
manufacture of
Yeah.
kerosene? They used to
Yeah.
throw it away.
mhm.
Used to.
Yeah, yeah, diba? But now it become such a viable and lucrative commodity now, diba? So it's because of that diesel generate more torque. But power wise, you can't compare a diesel gas fuel as compared to a gasoline engine in its capacity to make more horsepower. That's why there's no supercar yet that's running on diesel engines.
Okay.
But we have pickup trucks and massive industrial machinery that generates like what 1,000 horse
Yes.
foot
Yeah.
pounds of torque, like the 2020 Ford F250, which has like a 6.2 liter engine. It has 1,000 foot pounds of torque. Just imagine that, and that's a diesel engine. But torque lang, it has like 450 horsepower, but the torque is such massive.
Yeah.
So next, what are your thoughts?
Oh, this is a tough one. No, but for the viewers out there, Tuner Boy, what is parang easy way to understand the difference between power and torque? Let's start from there
Well,
before we start the discussion.
sige. Sige, according to like what Enzo Ferrari always says, horsepower is what you call this? Horsepower is what you read about, while torque is what you feel,
Yes.
diba?
Okay, yeah.
So it's really difficult to compare both because you need both,
Uh-uh.
but yes, it depends. For racing, of course, you need horsepower, but for industrial applications, you need torque.
Or
Torque is
yeah.
important. So there, if you can,
So okay, I have a question. You got an SUV, right? And you like it size wise and all that. But what is the primary strength for you of the diesel? Is it the power delivery or is it the economy?
I guess power delivery. Well, diesels have become more powerful because of the CRDI technology, the common rail diesel injection. So it's for normal street driving, having a diesel engine today, it's just like having a gasoline power wise. I mean, the torque is really efficient. But having said that, there's also some certain drawbacks with gas and diesel. But the main point, diesels are great. The one thing I don't like about diesel is the amount of emissions it produces. There's still no comparison. Like it will still produce more carbon dioxide than a gas engine will,
Okay. What
even with
about
the ultra low sulfur diesels.
That's
what
a
about
very good
noise?
question though. That's a very good question.
Yeah,
Are we
there's
getting
also the
diesel
noise.
or
Yeah,
that's
there's
what
also the engine noise because of the engine design. As we all know, gasoline engines use spark to ignite the fuel, which makes it you know um, not that noisy. But because of the way diesel engines are designed, they have no spark. They have no spark plug, so they just combust based on the high pressures created inside the combustion cylinder. But they have gotten quieter through the years as compared to your ordinary and archaic jeepney
Oh
diesel
yeah, yeah,
engines, which are
definitely.
really noisy, right? Yeah,
Okay.
That's for
yeah,
sure.
Now,
yeah.
okay, there's another thing which we do here is that even the high-end Euro 5 or 6
yeah. Six.
capable diesel engines from the premium manufacturers, they still have this issue that they go through fuel filters far more than people realize.
Yes, it's
Uh,
because of how diesel fuel is created. Unlike gasoline, which goes to several like 8 stages before you can get the byproduct of gasoline. Diesel fuel just undergoes like 3 to 4 stages of distillation and fermentation, and you get that crude oil already. Which is why the gasoline really burns. It's
cleaner.
more cleaner. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what that turns out to be a hidden cost people don't realize. If you and we've gotten that report from premium car buyers that when their car is off warranty, all of a sudden they're being told to change their fuel filter more often, which was happening before, but it just kind of wasn't told to them or communicated. I don't want to say it wasn't hidden, but it wasn't appropriately. They didn't understand it. So this is a hidden cost that we're seeing now. Okay, going to costs. Where Nix has done a nice set of spreadsheets on what the actual costs are.
Not
So
at
we're gonna
cost, but more on like the differences. Like I got the numbers to get the differences. So, like what Francis said, and you'll be able to see here, diesel technology has gone a long way. So, parang I got the current CX-5 Sky Active, so the gas and diesel, and then I got an older Accent gas and diesel, and then I got the later BMW X1 gas and diesel because I wanted to see if you turbocharged gasoline engine, like parang what will the performance differences be, diba? Because Francis, like one advantage of diesel engines currently, it's turbocharged. Like it's hard to
Yeah,
find a diesel engine that's not turbocharged at this point, which is
yeah, they need it.
yeah, they need it.
Sige.
There's gasoline engines na you'll still see a difference between NA and NA and turbo. So I first got the Mazda CX-5 because that's what first came into mind na gas and diesel variant. And you
Yeah,
see here, parang power-wise, they're very similar. But when you go to the torque, like what Francis was saying, it's almost
yeah,
doubled. That's that's how much diesels inherently have more torque. Like if you're given a similar displacement and similar power, you get parang double the torque. So like for the viewers out there, if you're looking for torque, like pulling power, carrying a lot of things, parang you will like most likely default to a diesel vehicle. And then so parang how does it do like on driving, diba? Fuel efficiency wise? Interestingly, if you at least for the European countries, so this is the parang European NEDC. So this is the version of the EPA, the EPA. Uh, on the city, it's 41% better on the diesel, but then when you go to the highway, it drops down to 23. And then so that's where I started
mhm,
getting other cars. I'm like, is that right? And like I would have thought that when you go to the highway, it gets better for diesel, diba? But no,
yeah.
the trend follows. So parang I got the older Accent and then I got the BMW X1. The trend follows as far as these standardized tests. You have to remember these tests are standardized. Because like, we can do tests ourselves, but the big problem is it's not standardized. This one said hook up the and then parang it does calculations. So this is standardized. And apart, if you look at these numbers, when you jump the highway, parang you'll start to parang the gap between the efficiency of gas and diesel actually becomes smaller. So for an older engine, parang in the city it's 25% more efficient on the diesel, but then when you go on the highway, it's 7.8.
It's still more efficient, but just lower ratio. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so parang for the BMW X1, if in the city the diesel 66% parang more mileage. I don't want to say efficient but more mileage. You get more mileage on the parang city. On the highway it drops to 46%, which is still huge. But here that's why I got the BMW X1. It's because similar displacement but the gas is also turbocharged. And look at the torque. When you
It's more
turbocharge
or less the same.
Yeah, when you turbocharge the gas engine, the torque becomes the same. And then because of that, the power of the gasoline engines actually becomes double of the diesel. So in this argument, turbochargers play a big role on the efficiency of the car, I think.
Yeah,
So
and the
those
diesel engines need to be turbocharged also. If you noticed, all of the pickups, the vans, and everything, they don't offer a normally aspirated a diesel engine, right? Most of the diesel engines today are turbocharged because they needed to generate more power.
yeah.
Because without they cannot run on torque alone. They need power, which is why they turbocharged most diesel engines. I think all diesel engines today are turbocharged anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
are you saying, Francis? So are you
Mm.
saying that um, is it set up that way that the power comes in at a higher rev range? In other words, where the torque is already dropping for the diesel?
Yeah,
Is that it?
yeah, because if you notice the tachometer and on the diesel engines, it only runs around to 6,000 because they can't operate more than 5,000. Eh. Unlike these gas engines, which can rev up till 10,000
9
RPM.
Yeah, 9 to
That's a
10,000.
drawback of diesel engines, di ba? Diesel just red lines at 5,000 eh.
But
So
the
you get
parang
more torque, but not peak power, di ba?
yeah.
You
And
see the
but
difference? With
the
diesel engines,
diesel,
you get, yeah,
yeah, so like showing to what Francis was saying, if you look at the numbers here, the torque of the gasoline engines like start at mga at least 4,000. Diesel it's 2,000. You get the parang you get the full torque at 4,000. Parang a low RPM. So like what Francis is saying, if you're looking for pulling power, it's really diesel.
yeah.
Here, the numbers
For
show.
industrial use,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
really
So
diesels.
so in real life use, just for the viewers, these are people who are probably in the provinces who have businesses
Oh
who
yeah,
have
for
to tow
sure.
things.
Oh yeah.
If you live in like higher altitudes, but if you're talking about a person who stays in the city in urban areas, like mostly us, me and Carl, we don't really have the full benefits of having a diesel. If you just go from the office to home to
Yeah.
like events
Yeah,
and stuff
right,
like that,
right. Yeah, I
especially in
agree, I
urban
agree,
traffic.
I
Actually,
agree, I agree.
in that line, so for example, when someone comes up to me, Dix, which Mazda 6.5 should I get? The first question I'll ask is, how many people will be riding on it regularly? That's the first thing I ask because like what Francis was saying, but picking between gas and diesel is more of user case versus which is the better fuel. Because I don't think like there is the better fuel. Because if there was, car manufacturers would have jumped to fuel already and abandoned the other. Like, for the
Yeah,
it makes sense. Like, for example, if gasoline is really better, why would I be making diesel engines? And vice versa. If diesel was better, why would I be making gasoline engines? So I really think it's more of user case. So
yeah.
going back,
Which is why more trucks have diesel engines, right?
yes,
There's
because it's all
and
about
stuff.
user case. Eh. So, parang for example, next what Mazda 6.5 should I get? I'll ask him or her first. Do you plan to put a lot of people, or is it more of you're going to be driving alone? Because from there, if you're really going to put a lot of people, for example, we go to Tagaytay and back frequently as a family. I'll tell them diesel because you need the pulling power. But it's like, just, going around, like to the gym, to work back, then the gasoline is more likely what you should be getting.
Well, there is a tipping point basically, and that's hugely individual. A friend of mine, one of our friends who's actually been around with C for a very long time, did his own calculation, and he said, and his example was Fortuner gas versus diesel, and he came up with numbers that if he doesn't do 15,000 or something kilometers a year, or if that's his average, then just by numbers alone, he would only see the cost benefits of the diesel in 3 to 4 years.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. That's correct.
So it comes down to individuals. If me as an example, I if the average uh, uh, use of cars is 12,000 to 15,000 kilometers a year, and I don't run cars that long, I probably would never see the advantages of diesel, given that I keep cars for a long time. Maybe I would after 5, 6 years. It's very very individual, and if it's a case as we said with the pickup trucks that are primarily diesel, then maybe it is a case of you're choosing the car style over the fuel style. So I don't know. And also, if it's outside the urban centers, you do need something that can handle different varieties of fuel product regardless of what the companies say, because you might find that, yeah, these are Euro compliant, whatever, and yet you still can't get them to run right. It happens. Or you can't find the
Yeah.
right fuel near you. It happens as well. So
How about in terms of maintenance and longevity? That's also one thing that some
Oh yeah.
people ask about, which is as your car gets older, which one tends to be more challenging to maintain, or does it just depend on how religious you are in maintaining your car?
Francis, what do
Uh,
you think?
I think the last one that Paulo says really matters a lot. It's how you
All right.
maintain your car. But having said that, either one has drawbacks. I mean, gasoline engines have spark plugs. Diesel engines don't have spark plugs. They both need to have their regular oil changes. Both are now modern engines. We have double overhead camshaft. Diesel engines, they have also a lot of sensors. So maintenance wise, there's not much difference except for those few things.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
yeah,
Like kasi like in the house, we have a parang almost equal number gas and diesel cars. In terms of pricing, I don't see much of a difference. But in terms of frequency, I know these have really what just said and Carl said a while ago. Because diesels are inherently dirty. It's a fuel. Parang you have to pay particular attention to parang maintenance when it comes to diesel. And I heard this anecdotally, diesel are more expensive to maintain or yeah, that's what I usually hear. Then I asked them, parang it doesn't paint the picture completely. So I asked them, so parang what did you have to do? And usually when people that diesels are more expensive to maintain, it's because they haven't maintained it well. And then when the problem
yeah,
got bad, it got
Okay,
really
okay.
bad.
yeah. Just like gasoline engines also goes through the usual fuel filter, air filter changes, the transmission filter changes. They also undergo through those changes, which also similar to gasoline engines. It's just a matter of religiously maintaining your car, whether it be a diesel or gas engine. The only drawback there is that diesel will still produce more carbon dioxide than gasoline engines. That's
Yeah.
the only drawback I see about
Yeah,
the
same. Same.
environmental side of it.
Well, there's we've had, as we all know, we've had the whole Dieselgate issue when Volkswagen got caught fudging their numbers. Well, it's arguable what actually happened, but just let's just say that they weren't as realistic as they should have been, as per their discussion. Now, so they say they're going to stop diesel, but then there are other companies, other premium car companies, who said, "Why are we going to stop? We're still selling the things in some markets."
Yeah.
Okay,
For like
so it comes
if
down
we went to
to
that discussion, sorry, I
yeah.
wanted to like quick lang. For me, it's parang Volkswagen was cheating the test, but I don't think their diesel engines were bad. They weren't just as good as they were trying to claim. Because wala,
Well,
they
I
were
think what they
also
were
trying to
trying to
make
do in
sales.
that case was just they were trying to hit the numbers that
Yeah.
are being enforced on them
Mm-hmm. There.
Yeah.
by okay, we were saying that Volkswagen has said they're stopping. Then we have
Yeah.
seen another premium German company that has said no, they're still selling. Then we have a Japanese company, one large, very large Japanese company. Well, this is Toyota, so it doesn't matter. And they're saying, no, we will produce whatever the market wants. So they will produce gas for this market because they're so huge anyway. They'll produce diesel for this market. They will produce their hybrids. They will go electric. They will go hydrogen if needed. They will produce whatever the market needs. Okay, but they're much, much bigger than uh, the others in general. Then we have another Japanese company who is very into the development of high technology for gas engines. Okay, they're a bit different. They've always been unique in this, but they're small, and they're the ones who told me that no, our diesel development engineers are getting funded, which means that even a small maker like that, who I'm not going to name because it's not, they haven't announced it, so we can't say it. But they're still looking into diesel. Okay, so like Nick says, uh, if these guys have, you know, we're not going to produce it if no one's paying us. Right?
Yeah, like if there was a really better fuel, they parang you would have seen manufacturers jump ship by now. But look,
Yeah.
like what Toyota said, they'll just keep doing what parang people want. Because at the end of the day, like I hear this all the time. Oh, gas is diesel. Oh no, diesel. Gas is better. Oh no, diesel's better. But
Gas is diesel.
sorry, yeah, sorry. I need more coffee. Lala lang. But yeah. But going back, you can see that it's more of user. Like, between the two. I love gasoline cars, but because of the parang the user case of what I need now, I'll end up with really a diesel vehicle because I need
Yeah.
to haul
It
more
depends.
stuff.
It also depends on the. It will also depend on what vehicle are you getting? Are you getting a van? Are you getting a pickup? Are you
Mm-hmm.
getting a small sedan? It really depends on that. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
here's a quiz. We were talking about this. Um, are any of these the small Chinese cars that are coming in? There's some brands that are not having any diesels at all in our country, right?
yeah. Because I think for their user case, I think small cars. I think gasoline is really the better approach. Parang when you're going to small dispense, small engines, cause the tolerant, like if you want to maximize the fuel, parang you have to be using good fuel. And then in terms of quality, gasoline is just a lot more cleaner.
Yeah,
And
which is why I don't think there's no hybrid vehicle out there with a diesel engine and a hybrid engine, right? Hybrid
yeah,
motor,
oo.
diba?
Or very, if there is, it's very rare because it goes against
Yeah,
each
yeah, yeah.
other. Eh.
Yeah.
When you're this from what I remember, hybrids is more for emission. I think
Tapos
that's
you're
the
burning.
and then use
But it
diesel
would make a good,
engine.
but it would make a good batch because low torque, higher torque, diba? Which is good
Yeah,
for city driving, and
yeah.
then the hybrid motor. No, no.
Uh, no, but no, in the hybrid system, Francis, you have to remember when you're braking inertia, you're using
Yeah,
the electric motor, not the gasoline or diesel, not internal
yeah, yeah.
combustion engine. So
Mm.
diesel having a high torque motor, electric motor will beat the diesel engine all the time. To pull.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Well, the advantages of the hybrid don't really match the advantages of the diesel, and they don't close the gap uh, in terms of environmental friendliness and efficiency as much as the gas ones do. But having said that, also remember that there's been a tremendous amount of development on the gas side because that's where they felt their money would be better spent. Also, and here's another question. Uh, Nix, your diesel truck now has a 6 or 7 speed sequential transmission,
yeah.
but it's not particularly uh, technologically advanced. It's kind of an
Yeah.
same old school engine. It's not a
Hmm.
CVT. It's not a dual clutch, right?
Yeah, it's
Um,
just the plain old.
okay, but it's the transmissions and their flexibility that allows us to pull what we need out of these small 1.5 liter triples for
Yes.
gas. Are there any that you know of high technology transmissions being mated to these diesels, or are they just
Good
they're not a good
question.
match?
Actually, that's the top of my head. I haven't seen like parang the latest transmission. That's a good one. And I think it's because of the torque of the diesel engines. That's the parang drawback. We haven't seen parang diesel cars with CV because of the torque application. That's a good thing to look at.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, let's put it this way: if we have the diesel producing this huge amount of torque in this range, and then you have the CVT, let's say, which will try to keep it within that range. I wonder how that would feel.
That question. Can a car manufacturer just make a test car na wait yun actually I wouldn't be surprised if they actually done tests on that
Well,
na
I mean,
CVT and a
there was
diesel.
I don't know. I think it okay. I think what it is where they choose to fund development, basically.
Mm.
And that was said to me by basically a Mazda engineer who said it really what we'll develop whatever they give us the money for. And they choose based on what will make the returns or what will make the. I mean, it might not be the optimal return, but it might be the more palatable return.
Yeah, I
So
get at the end of the day it's still
Yeah,
business. So
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Mitsubishi just keeps on adding gears to their transmission, right? They don't have like the 8 speed. Is it the 8 speed next, the transmission that they have
parang
for diesel engines?
I think it's
Currently,
seven. Currently I think it's
seven,
seven.
seven, diba?
Yeah.
7 speed, yeah.
Well,
So I
all that
guess,
does is that that allows you to remember when we had two, three gear automatics, right? And now
yeah,
we have what that ratio does is, if it's computer controlled, it allows the transmission to work better with the engine and pull more out of the engine. Largely not for power so much as it is for environmental concerns now. Honestly,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it will get you through as quickly as possible to the lowest possible revs to get what you want, but it also has to jump back quickly as needed. That's why you can really feel the earlier dual clutches that would jump 2 or 3 gears at a time if you suddenly hit the gas from a cruise. So anyway, so basically that's what we haven't really answered, the gas versus diesel question, other than it's really your choice. It's your choice as a corporation. It's your choice as a human being, as a person. Do you
Yeah,
think,
but what your
do you think
priority is.
it's, do you think you
And
need to
what kind
have,
of vehicle you do?
yeah, actually, that's the key thing. What kind of vehicle? Because if you are going for a pickup in our market, you're pretty much looking only at diesels, right? Is there any gas pickup right now?
Wala. Wala.
Wala, no.
What's that big
Ah.
Jeep?
Well,
That big 2-door,
the
4-door?
Gladiator.
Yeah.
The
Gladiator.
Is that gas
But
or diesel?
alam ko it's diesel na parang the small displacement variant. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Let
Okay.
me
So anyway,
let
there.
me check.
It comes down to your own personal choice. You got to do the numbers yourself. It's not a default answer that the diesel will be cheaper. The only default we see, honestly, is that diesels are a bit more noisy and a bit more smoky.
Yeah, that one's for
Then
sure.
yeah. And if you are out somewhere where you can't guarantee excellent delivery of fuel all the time near you, there's an option for that. Also, if you have a fleet, right? There are advantages to that because you're buying in bulk. So it really comes down to that. Do your own numbers, make your own decisions. The technologies are changing drastically and very quickly. Especially with the new cars coming from nearby Asia, we're seeing changes extremely quickly. That's one interesting thing that we found, is that we get changes far more quickly here than they do around the world, actually. So there. Okay, so what have we answered? It all depends.
To square one, guys.
Yeah.
So it depends. It depends on your personal choice. For me, the main issue for me with diesel is that I just found them a bit noisier than I wanted, a bit more calm.
Yeah.
Were the gas. So that's my key point.
I wish
I'm not
there
on the
were
highway every
gas.
day though. Yeah. Okay. So having said all that, by the time you see this, we're gonna have hopefully some rollbacks in fuel prices, which you should be seeing soon. There are some companies that
Always
are
good
offering
news.
deals for vaccination, so that's good too. Having said all that, we're all spending way less on gas now anyway because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So there. Which brings us to the next question we should be talking about, is how are we maintaining our cars and all this craziness? And does it matter? So
It's a very good next topic.
yeah, actually, because it's a question. I've had cars that haven't gone in service for a year and a half. Are they hurting? Not really. So okay.
Ooh.
Anyway, okay. So thank you very, very much, everyone. This has been our gas versus diesel. But it's really gas versus everything else right now. So thank you very, very much. This has been Nick's off screen. This has been Paolo off screen. This has been Den, who's been very quiet. This has been Francis in his dome
Hey.
of books, which we really, really
The
gotta
man cave.
talk to him about one time. And it's been me, Carl. Thank you very, very much, everyone, whether you're listening, watching, or just trying to follow along. Thank you very, very much. Let us know what you think. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.